Hello and welcome. If you haven't already, I invite you to please click subscribe. There's no obligation, and it allows you to be notified of all new chapters. Additional information about the story, including the author, chapter warnings, and rating, can be found in the description below. All credit goes to the original author. Bleeding Skies by Orphan Account, Chapter 11, The Memories. Frustrated, Derek pulls open the hatch and looks into the plane's luggage compartment. Switching his eyesight, he sees stacks of boxes. Frantically, he searches for something, anything, to help them. Extra barrels of fuel, an emergency radio, flares, anything. "What do you see?" Scott asks, hovering over Derek's shoulder. "They're boxes with flares," he calls out in triumph to the others. "I can lower myself in and get them." The wolf crawls up and jumps in the plane's small hold. Making himself as small as possible, he retrieves several boxes with flares, which he hands to the others. "Got it. Nothing else that can help, though," he sighs as he pulls himself out of the hold and pushes the hatch back into place. "We can use them to chase away the animals, perhaps even kill them," Scott proposes. "We need to get outside to light the flares and draw attention." The lights inside the plane flicker briefly. "We've used too much resources. We must shut everything down right now," Derek states, moving up front where he can turn off all they can afford to miss. "Now I know what it feels like to be blind," Lydia thinks as she shuts off the compartment light again. The flashlight they have placed here and there illuminate the area in a ghostly manner. Stiles looks even sicker than he already does. Derek, Malia, Scott, and Liam discuss what to do with the flares. Lydia suddenly feels a hand on her wrist, startling her. As she looks down, she sees Stiles awake. Relief floods through her as she sees his mind is pretty clear. It's almost as if he took a time out to clear out his confusion. "Lydia," Stiles groans, opening his eyes. "Thirsty." "I know, Stiles," she soothes gently. "I used the water to get your fever down. I'm sorry." He hardly seems to listen to her, too far gone to care. The Banshee opens Stiles' suitcase and tears up one of his white shirts. Then she remembers the stocked small bar the pilot had mentioned before. She hadn't thought of that before. She finds 4 bottles of water and a small refrigerator hidden under one of the seats. The refrigerator is shut down with the rest of the power on board, but the water is still pretty cool. She takes out one, screws it open, and dips water over the cloth. Then she places the cooling cloth over Stiles' forehead, wiping away beads of sweat. "You can have a bit of water, but not too much," she says, holding her hand in his neck. "Just try to sip." He moans as she touches him, opening his eyes and staring at her. Unable to drink, she uses another rag to wet his lips with, trying to get him to suck a bit on it to soothe his dry mouth. He is far away, Malia and Lydia notice. No more jokes or remarks. Pain and fear have taken completely over. This is no longer Stiles Stilinski staring at them, but a teenager whose life is in grave danger, and he knows it. Malia's eyes fill with tears as she is lingering between her coyote self and her human self who loves Stiles. She wants to go out and fight, but she also wants to stay with him. It's Scott who ultimately takes the decision for her, telling her to stay with him. Nervously, she kneels down, unable to say a sensible thing. "Talk to him," Lydia encourages. "Get his mind off the situation." "What do I say? I don't know if I can handle this," she almost pleads. "You can and you will," Lydia says, placing her hand on Malia's wrist. "You are so strong, Malia. He's so crazy about you. He admires your strength. Tell him stories, memories, anything that might help, okay? Malia nods, her eyes focusing on Stiles, who isn't returning her gaze. Hey Stiles, she says softly. Do you remember the first time we met out in the woods? That was kind of weird, huh? I was so angry that you took me home, but it turned out to be the best thing in my life. I got to meet you. He doesn't reply, but she hears his heartbeat relax more, and she knows that he's listening to her voice, remembering who she is and what they have been through together. I was so scared when you vanished out of Eichen House, did you know that? I had already fallen in love with you right there, and you were so beautiful, so gorgeous. I fell head over heels, and that hasn't stopped since. Lydia smiles, listening to Malia's memories. Stiles has told her the full story of how they met, what they went through at Eichen House, and how the Nogitsune had used Malia against him to get inside his head. He loved Malia, she knew that, and he still loved Lydia too, just as she loved him. He was the most important person in her life right now, and somehow, he knew that too. As Derek, Scott, and Liam prepared, they listened to Malia's gentle voice as she continues. You brought me back to life, Stiles. You're my lifeline. Her confession startled them all. Even though they knew she loved him, none of them seemed to realize how deep her love went. The guys always thought Stiles and Malia were having just a fling, enjoying themselves as they grew up. Somehow, they fitted together, but no one ever thought it would last. Lydia knows. She's always known. Stiles' eyes close as he listens to her, his rapid breathing becoming calmer. Keep going, Derek whispers as he comes closer. It seems to be working. Lydia dips another piece of cloth into water and wets Stiles' face, listening to Malia's quiet voice as she fights back tears. You don't mind if I go crazy now and then. You don't care that you've got scratches on your back. You don't care what people think of me. You've helped me so much, and I love you for every single thing you did for me. Even if it ever ends, I'll always love you for all that you did for me. Stiles nods quietly, remembering it all. Derek sheds new eyes on Stiles, realizing at that very moment the passion and love the human in Scott's pack has go way beyond anything he ever considered possible. For one long moment, the pain of loneliness stings Derek. Then he looks up to find Scott gazing at him, smiling as he understands what Derek is going through. He wants to say that he's not alone. You're so relentlessly alert, always so smart, Malia whispers gently. You solve the riddles. Tired, Malia, Stiles mutters, so quietly they can barely hear him. So tired of it all. You'll get better before you know it, Malia speaks bravely, misunderstanding what he's trying to say. You've survived so much. This is just a walk in the park for you. Tomorrow you'll be scolding us for not listening to you in the first place. No. Tired of the battle, the fights. Stiles opens his feverish eyes, staring right at Lydia while talking to all of them. Sometimes too much. Lydia holds her breath, knowing what he's referring to, and it concerns her that his voice has gone back to the tired, almost too difficult speech. Beacon Hills needs you, Stiles, Lydia says. You can't just let go. You'll take over, he smiles at her. You're the Banshee. Lydia wets a third cloth and places it at Stiles' lips, helping him gently as Malia leans back. No, I won't, she says. I refuse to take over. It's your battle too, Stiles. You've always said that. You voluntarily became involved when Scott was bitten. You can't just quit on us now. So stop talking like that because I won't listen. Stiles smiles warily. Yes, ma'am. Lydia leans back heavily and rubs her face, exhausted. Glancing at her watch, she notices it's nearly 9 p.m. In her mindset, it feels like a century has gone by. They've been here for hours, and who knows how much longer it will still take to find them. Derek walks up to the front with Scott and Liam, all three of them carrying flares. Are you ready? He asks. Yes, we are. The three wolves open the compartment door and run down the ladder as they light the flares.